Hey,
Hey everybody,
thank you.
welcome to the workshop. We're just waiting for a few people to join us. We've got about 60 plus joining us from LinkedIn and another 92 signed up. So it's going to take a little while for people to come in the room. This event is being recorded. So let's start. Got a few more people coming in now. Hi. If you have any questions or things you'd like to say, if you can mention that in chat. I've got chat open in my right-hand side here so that I can pick up on those questions. Okay, just a few more to come in. Some more. Okay. No doubt there will be more to come in as we go on. Yeah, if you check my profile, Rachel, it seems to be streaming through that.
Okay.
I could swap it, stop it. No, that causes trouble if we do that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. Just leave.
Yeah, it's not on the KUB page. It's on my profile for some reason. There's a few more to come in. Okay, brilliant. Okay, we've got some more. Okay, we'll get started. We've got a lot to get through. So, welcome to the Vision2Success Digital Marketing Workshop. Drive sales revenue through. Start again. Welcome to the Vision2Success Digital Marketing Workshop. Drive sales revenue growth through effective marketing, which I'll be presenting today. This is the culmination of many years' work, and we use this process. This is the same process we use with our clients. So we know it works. It's tried, true, and tested. So if you'll be able to download the presentation and watch the workshop in a day or so when that's uploaded, and you'll be able to, if you follow that process, you'll be able to grow your sales. It's exactly what we do. It's taken us a while to develop this, and we're testing it on high growth companies. So where the demand to get things moving quickly is required. So the overall structure for the next hour will be thanks for that, William. The overall structure for the next hour will be short introductions to who we are, what Vision2Success is all about, an educational presentation on an aspect of marketing. There will be a chance to ask questions, as I say, through the chat, which I've got open on this window here. So I'll be able to pick up on anything you ask, and we'll build that into the presentation. And if there's time at the end, we'll be asking questions. If you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, it's on my profile today rather than on the KUB profile. You can put it into comments, and Rachel, my colleague, will be picking those up, and I'm putting those on there. So let's get on with the presentation. Drive sales revenue growth through effective marketing. So quite a few, I've seen some familiar faces coming in. For those who don't know me, We provide outsourced marketing management or fractional CMO if you're based in the US. We're currently setting up a US business to handle exclusively the US customers. I've been around quite a long time. I've got 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, been doing this been doing technology for 1984, been doing marketing support and technology for the last 20 plus years, worked with over 600 businesses. The actual business of KUB is run by my daughter, Charlie Dickinson, and ably supported by Rachel Eglin, who's on the call today. And so I'm sort of moving slightly sideways to develop the marketing app, which we've mentioned on a few occasions. And we're hopefully in the last leg of it. And I know a number of you have expressed an interest in testing it, and that will be available probably after Christmas now. We are running short of time leading up to Christmas. So why do we do this? Well, I've been in business a long time, and I noticed things are getting harder, tougher. The wars in Ukraine and Israel don't particularly help. And so this is to help you compete in the digital world. Since people are more sitting at home, working from home and so forth, the way people use the internet has changed, and the way they purchase has changed, which means that online competition is harder. It's helped you build on your knowledge. Literally this morning and yesterday, I've spent the time building little micro courses, literally 2-3 minutes on key fundamentals, which is on the TikTok channel, Vision2Success. That's VYZION_app. If you look for that on TikTok, we've got about 250 followers so far, but hopefully that will grow to many thousands. And so we can get the message out there that you need to understand this stuff if you are going to be effective with your marketing. So therefore, we're here to help solve marketing problems, and through the hub.vision2success.co, build a community to support marketing. Vision2Success itself, it's part of KUB, it's a brand. We offer these 3 monthly Wednesday workshops between 11 and 12. We've got the marketing community at the hub.vision2success.co. Full course. We have a full course on marketing strategy and implementation, which you can do at your leisure. The app, which we are currently building, and gets quite a lot of. We've got quite a lot of people ready to test it, but at the moment we're not quite ready because we're building in collaboration tools. And then, if you want us to pay us to help you, then we have the 90-day fractional CMO accelerator for faster growth. And our view is that we can help no matter what your budget, ambitions, or stage of growth. To support that, this is the hub, which I've just mentioned. It's got lots of useful resources on it, and it's got free courses. It's also got paid courses. These are the free ones are about an hour long. The longer ones are considerably longer, but they've got a lot more information and depth. For those who are really short of time, we've also got the bite-sized learning courses, which are literally about 5 to 10 minutes long. We'll be, as I said, we'll be launching even shorter versions, which to give you a really quick snapshot. Oh, right, okay, that's what that's all about. That's the tool that will be useful for me. And that's on, if you search on TikTok for Vision, VYZION_app. Okay, and for those who would like a chat, we're not into heavy sales. It will be a chat. It'll be find out what it is you're trying to do. I'll give you some ideas. If at the end of it you think, yeah, okay, I need some more in-depth help, then that's fair enough. But if not, we're just here to help. So there's my diary, link to my diary. Okay, so we're going to start with drive sales revenue growth through effective marketing. So when we work with a client, we have an onboarding and discovery phase, and you can do the same, simulate the same in your own business. You say, right, okay, we're going to draw a line here, and we're going to look at what we're going to do. and then we're going to give you some theory on what underpins that, and then 3 is the accelerator, which we'll go through. So it is surprising how many businesses don't really know what they want to do in 10 years' time. You know, if you don't have a view of what you want to achieve, even if it's grandiose, even if it's, you know, pie in the sky type stuff, it's important to have that view. What do you want to do? And if getting some personal things like a bigger house, bigger car, or more holidays, or more time, or whatever it is, you need to have a clear idea of what you want to do, because time disappears very quickly, unfortunately. So most people have a view in 12 months what they want to do. It's important to know in 3 years, have a really concrete view of what the business is doing, but also paint yourself a picture. What am I doing in 10 years' time? It's the first thing I ask as a business coach, because then that helps me plan, helps you work with people to plan where they want to be. You then review your products and services. It's surprising how many people don't know what is the most profitable product or service, and who's the most profitable customer or persona. So important. If you don't know what's generating the cash and generating the profit and generating the growth, then how do you know what to focus on? And you'll have a portfolio. If you've been around a while in business, you'll have a portfolio of products and services, and you know, it's identifying which ones of those are going to give you the quickest returns. Because when we go into a company, we've got to get results quickly. So that's what we ask. Those are the questions we ask. And then we say, well, what is working? You know, I'm talking to all my 30,000 LinkedIn connections and asking them what's working, you know, and 75% are saying referrals. Referrals is still a very strong mechanism, but how can you strengthen that? How can you do more of that with that audience? So it's important to understand what is working and what's not. Okay, so it's really important. Your website is the only thing you own and can control on the internet. You have no control over social. You have no control over, you know, all the things that sort of surround it, but you do control your website. You control how it looks. You can control the user journey. You control how responsive it is. You can control what resources are on it, etc., etc. Now, there's a whole bunch of tools, and I'm going to show you the screenshots. I'm only leaving the screenshots in because, you know, for you to refer back to, because this PowerPoint will be available. This is our route to market. This is how we work, and so we're going to leave it in the PowerPoint so that you can then pick up on these things and talk to your agency, do some research yourself. Use somebody on, talk to your developer, whatever, or talk to us. We're very happy to help. So these are all the sort of things that you need to look at. So just very briefly running through these. So Google Analytics is Google's free tool. All these are free apart from SEMrush. It's free. It tells you what's happening on your website. Then you have Google Search Console. This is Google telling you what it's sending to your website. Okay. Tag Manager is used more and more. We're having to do sort of clever reporting for clients, and rather than keep messing about the website, we set up a thing called Google Tag Manager, which allows us to put little bits of software in to tell Google Analytics what's happening. And you should be using that now rather than any plugins and so on. But your developer will explain more. You need to report on a regular basis. You need to look at these reports. And again, Google will give you a free tool. It's called Looker Studio. And we build reports now for clients so that they can get the data they want on a regular basis. And it's automated. Once it's set up, it's set up. I put merchant sentiment. This is for e-commerce sites. Now, Google have just literally about a week or so ago released a plugin which you simply snap into your website, which will give you access to free Google listings. I've just done it to a site, and they are all over in their sector because nobody else has done it. And it's free. I know this is hard to understand, but it's free advertising, and it gets you right to the top of Google if there are not many players in the market. It then allows you to add the advertising as well. So everybody is familiar with TikTok and some fantastic results. Well, that's going the way of Facebook and Instagram. I need to pay a little bit to get some boosts. So I set up a channel a couple of weeks ago for the Vision2Success app. It's now got 250 followers. We've got something like 2,500 likes on it and so on, and views are about 20,000-30,000. But we're having to pay a little bit of money, just like we used to with Facebook a few years ago. And so if you've not got a TikTok channel, you've not got a TikTok strategy, please talk to us, because you need to get one quickly if that's relevant to your marketplace. And if you say, well, how do you know it's relevant to my marketplace? Well, it's being used by business and for consumers. So who knows? We're a business to business. We support other businesses, and yet we've got getting followers on TikTok. So it's not like Facebook, where everybody said, oh, Facebook's for consumers and Instagram's for consumers. That's not the same with TikTok. It's not like LinkedIn, absolutely, but it's I think if you're not thinking about TikTok or researching it, you should do, because at the moment there is organic reach, whereas in a year or so's time it will go. G2 metrics looks at the speed of your site, which we're going to quickly look at. SEO, or getting found in Google, is getting a lot more complex. So we use a very powerful tool to do that. And if we're working on a website, we always make sure we have admin access. I know quite a few clients who've got websites that have not got their own admin access to their own sites. So if you haven't got it, you need to get it. Just breezing through this. So this is what Google Analytics looks like. People find it's quite hard to use, and that's why we've started to use draw that data into Looker Studio. This is Google Search Console. This is showing you how many impressions that people have been searching for, and this shows the number of clicks going through to the site. And it gives you quite a lot of detail and information as to what is working in terms of Google driving traffic to your site. This is Google Tag Manager. These are all the little bits of code. So we've got a little bit of code here that says when somebody selects a contact form, tell Google Analytics that that somebody has submitted that form, and that's called a conversion. And then we have a report showing conversions, so we know what forms and so forth are working on a website, what's converting and what's not. This is a report. So you see here, this site's had over 5,000 sessions. That's 5,000 people looking at it, and 173 of those converted. These are the sort of ratios you can kind of expect. This is from a email package called Sending Blue. So it gives you quite a lot of information, and this is now what our clients get. This is GT Metrics. So this is a website that we look after. Abbey 5-star. Put your website in, see what you score. We're looking after the site, so it scores an A, which we're pretty pleased about, which means it's fast, which means Google likes it. SEMrush, this is a typical sort of SEMrush report. It tells you where everything is positioned, where all the keywords are. You can see we've been working on this site, so the keyword growth is the visibility has increased a lot. It tells us how good the site is, so it's no errors at the moment, and it's you can't get anything above 90% is good. You can't get rid of all errors, unfortunately. And it tells us about sort of the domain authority, which is an 8. It shows how many websites are backlinking to it, and it also gives you some suggestions, but it's not cheap, but this is what we use. So yeah, social media web baseline, usual stuff. What are the most appropriate social media platforms? What do your customers use? how consistent. Social media is all about consistency. It's not about doing 1 a day, 5 a day, or whatever. It's going to be right. Okay, how often are we going to produce this stuff and do it consistently? And then what engagement do you get from it? So, for example, I reposted a post about Lego being, and sort of somebody had done a thing on data analytics, and it was similar to how I played with Lego 60 years ago. And so I posted it, and it was a reshare, which normally you don't get many views. I got, last time I looked at it, it was 4,500. Absolutely amazing. So, and we regularly post stuff and we get, say, several hundred. But if you do something really personal and very pertinent, then the sky's the limit still with LinkedIn. But you do have to think about it carefully. Can't put any old rubbish up there. So email, we're going to talk about warm audience and so forth. But if you've got, if you've got a customer base and they are work emails, some name at company.co.uk, then under GDPR, you can use the soft unsubscribe, so a soft opt-out option, so you can send it to them and they can unsubscribe. You don't have to get permission first. The ideal is to get permission first, obviously. But if they're customers, then they should respond to any relevant, pertinent information that you're going to send them. So what email systems have you got set up? I mentioned Sendinblue. It's called Diva. There's ActiveCampaign. There's HubSpot. There's MailChimp. There's lots of systems out there that are free or low cost. And it's pretty quick to set up a template and so on. So you should be on a regular basis emailing your customer base. Look at your open rate. What subject lines work. Look at the click-through rate. What does the call to action do? Is it any good? Watch the unsubscribes. I've got a client who has got a music website. Her unsubscribes is extremely low because she's always, every Friday, she's sending out a free offer, free downloads. And then what responses are you getting from that? So coming to the end of the first section, so the actions are, and this is how we work, so right, okay, this is the stuff you need to do. What are you going to do about it? Procrastination is one of the most frustrating things that I used to get when I was with a business coach. So, I'll do it next month. Well, if you're on a 90-day accelerator program, you kind of need to do it now. Clarify your vision, because any path will do otherwise. Oops, what's going on there? Any path will do. So make sure you know where you're going. Identify your most profitable products and services and customer. Get all the baseline data, and then we capture it in a thing called Notion, but capture in a spreadsheet, something like that. So, bit of underlying theory. Good old Einstein, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the different results. You do have to shake things up. You have to create new habits, and there's plenty of books on habit creation. But you see this young lady here. She's obviously, had a misfortune, but she's an athlete, so it's not stopped her. So there's no excuses. You've got to create these new habits, and think about, why are athletes successful? It's because they've got great habits in place. They do what they say they're going to do it and keep doing it. They look back, they get their stats, they look at the stats, right, okay, and then they work with a coach to say, well, how can I improve that? We've actually developed a habit tracker for those clients who we're working with so that they can regularly tell us how they're getting on. And just the fact of them filling in about 10 things each week makes them think, yeah, I can improve on this. What measure gets done. And there's very people cited for that, but yeah, what measure gets done. So if you set up new habits, measure them and do it. And what you're looking for is marginal gains, compounding those 1% improvements. And as you improve things will get better. but new habits are required to do that. Okay, so focusing on growth, what's working, what isn't, and stop doing what's not working. Just because you've always done it doesn't mean to say it's a good thing. This is where we've got to change the habits. Which of your markets are growing? Take a cool look back and say, right, okay, which are my best clients? Which is my best sector? What are the opportunities? Is it selling more to the same market? Can you, just improve the offer? Can you make yourselves? There's a thing called Blue Ocean, which we did, strategy, which we did. Which is actually on the free courses. How can you make your competitors irrelevant? Do you need to develop some new products or services? We do over the summer. We've always been doing a kind of fractional CMO service or outsourced marketing management stroke accelerated programs, but now we've crystallized and we've documented it, and it's now our main product or service. And it's taken 6 months to sort that out. And the reason for putting this deck together was to tell you guys this is what you should be doing, but also, for internal training and for training our business partners. So it's all about, focusing on something, reimagining things, pivoting maybe like we did. And unfortunately, it's all about creating better value for your customers. If all this doesn't create better value for your customers, then don't bother. You've got to be better, faster, quicker, etc. When working with your customers, because your competitors are doing this. Somebody in your market will be doing this. I love this. If you search for success equation in Google, it took a while, but if you search for Alex, the equation making products irresistible, you got to think about, you're thinking about a product or service. What's the outcome? What's the what is it they're looking for? What's the perceived likelihood of achieving that? And then it's how long to get there, because it's taken us to 6 months to really harden up and shape it. It's taken us 2 to 3 years to develop the app, and it's still not ready. Because as we talk to people, we've been talking to a lot of people, they would say, well, how about this? How about, and so on, and getting the user journey right, etc. And then, so therefore, how much effort, how much time, how much money, and that's how you create value. So obviously, if you can reduce this and maximize this, your value that you're creating will be a lot higher. Okay. One thing that I'll put this slide in to remind people that the stats are pretty horrible in terms of sort of how much effort you have to put into something to get an output. So I do need to redo this slide, because those mathematicians amongst you will notice it doesn't add up to 100. 1% has been left on the table. So before you all start messaging, the numbers don't add up. But basically, this is the top number. This 3% of your suspect base is ready to buy. And we see this in web stats, e-commerce stats, PPC stats. 1,000 people and 100 people and only 3 people do something. So it's just to remember, it is a volume game. I was working again with another e-commerce site, and they got about a couple of thousand visitors a month. I said, no, that needs to be between 5,000 and 10,000 if we're going to drop through the amount of orders that you want in order to get the results, the financial results that you want. So just remember that it is a numbers game. And say with email shots, if you've got 100 people, three will do something. If for those of you old enough, if you did a mail shot, proper, where you stuck out things in envelopes and posted it, we used to do those in those days. Again, 3% will do something. So on a good mail shot. So just remember the stats are not on your side. The 4 ways to get leads. So when we go into a company and go, right, okay, they say, right, we want to increase our sales really quickly. you've got basically 4 ways to do it. You've got your warm audience, those people who know you, love you. What else can you do for them? Is that a new product or service? Would that help them? Or is it, keeping in touch better, so using a CRM, etc. And that's why we recommend an email database and putting something together. It doesn't take a lot of effort, to be fair. People say, oh, I don't have time for that. Well, the thing is, your competitors will. So they'll be putting stuff in your customers' email boxes. And there'll be something one day that go, oh, yeah, that's good. And they'll move to the other company. So it's important, whatever business you're running, whether it's consumer or business to business, they have some form of email letter. It doesn't have to be War and Peace. It doesn't have to be fantastically designed. In fact, less design is better, because if you use things like Outlook, it doesn't read the email. It doesn't read the graphics don't display. So if you've got lots of graphics, waste of time. So cold audience, that's where you use cold reach. That's where you use LinkedIn marketing. That's where you maybe even telephone calls, although that's, I think, a dying art these days. Cold email-based databases, you can still buy business-to-business emails, not like business-to-consumer, unfortunately, but business-to-business. So it could be an email campaign. And over time, that database will warm up. We've shown that. Creating great content, as I said, if you really think about your content, you can get 4,000 views as opposed to 200 views. And the quick, short, dirty way of doing it is with paid advertising. But that is very specific, and you can't just go, I'm going to open a Google account and point it at my website. Complete waste of time. You need proper landing pages to drive people to, which are connected with the keywords they've just searched on. So that's becoming harder and more sophisticated, although Google do give you quite a lot of support in that front with their machine learning and AI. You do have to trust it. Is a bit of a when we first played with it, but the machine learning has got a lot better. As I say, if you've not done it, then plug yourself into Google Shopping via the Google Listing app that's now available. So another reminder of conversion rates. You can improve all these stats. The email marketing standard is 18%, 2% click-through. But if you get a warmer audience, more targeted audience, so if you've got a database of 1,000 or 20,000 or whatever, and it's across multiple sectors, segment it down into the sectors. So you've got maybe 5,000 in medical, 5,000 in technology, or whatever your segments look like, and then write specifically for that segment. Don't just blast everybody with the same message. It doesn't work. Every sector has its own language. It has its own way of doing things. Google search is about 2% on average. I look at about 50 Google search console reports that Google send me each month. My inbox gets filled and I go through it with a calculator going, right, okay, what are those? And 2%. It's remarkable. And we've got some websites that are doing 1 million visitors. It's still 2%. It's quite interesting. Which comes back to, I think, the buyer's pyramid type approach. If you need to achieve about 3% of your ad spend for PPC, and about 2% of your web traffic will convert. So it is a numbers game. Improve the audience, improve the message, and you will improve it. Those click-through rates. Okay, actions. So the key here is reimagining the business. What is it customers really value? And we have quite a challenging conversation at the start of any project to find out what is it that the company really excels at. What are you really truly remarkable at? And and then what do you have to put in place? And then what are the metrics? So we've got our baseline. We're going to say, right, okay, what are we going to now measure going forwards? So we come to the 90-day accelerator. So what are we looking for? What do we need to get volume sales you need? Well, it is a lot about consistency. Sometimes when we do the LinkedIn marketing, it takes a little while to work out, to really sharpen up the message, to sharpen up the profile of who we go after and so on. But by doing it consistently, you'll get the results. We're working with an Indian company marketing into the UK and US for their engineering services. Not an easy one, but now, because we've been working with them for quite some time, the results are really coming in. In order to do that, we've had to regularly review what works and what could be better. And then when you identify what does work, you double down on it. It's that's the sort of kind of the fundamental discipline you need to get yourself into. And if you say, well, I haven't got time, the best thing would be to choose a time when you do have time, or say, right, okay, for the next 90 days, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get all these jobs done, and I'm going to get this thing out. Because once it's set up and it's rolling, it needs a lot less time. And of course, you'll have more money coming in because you've got more sales coming in. So sometimes, if anybody of you've done Kaizen activities, sometimes you just have to find that time, whatever it takes to do it. Or you can use an agency like ourselves, but obviously that does cost money. Next step is to, once you've identified that really great product or service, is what's your offer? Why is it compelling? Where are you going to add that value for your clients? And if you can identify a growing customer segment and something you have a lot of experience in, not, if you look at your customer base and you look at your market, you might find so if you say selling telecoms to medium-sized businesses, there are actually niches in that, things like medical, insurance, call centers, technology support companies, etc. And some of those might be more profitable. So you might go, actually, the medical is really profitable, but you've then got to be able to speak in their language. You've got to know what the priorities are. We did a video for a while back now, promotional video for a telecoms company, and we had to do it five different ways for the 5 different sectors. The priorities changed in the video. The video essentially was pretty much the same, but we had to change the priorities in each of the videos in order for the audience to relate with it. And it's the same with your customer base. Are you sending the same message out to everybody, or are you being specific to each segment? Think about the problems that the customer has. What is the problem they're really, really trying to solve? And does your product really solve it? Or is it just a fix or sticking plaster for something that they would like something better to do? You then list out every possible solution. The background theory to all this is a value proposition by Strategizer, and again, that's it's on our big course that we wrote. Although there will be, I was doing the micro one for the Vision TikTok channel, which gives you a synopsis of it, and so that we're coming out over the next month. We're planning to release either 2 or 3 a week. So again, think about what the core offer is then. What are the bonuses you can add? So we have the core offer, the fractional CMO 90-day accelerator program. But then after that, we've got all sorts of bolt-ons that we can go, well, these are a bunch of bonuses that you can have on top of that. So we've got the free courses, we've got the quite comprehensive reporting, and things like that, really added value things. And then think about the friction. So for example, I was looking for a US accountant, and I was recommended the name of this company, but they'd put so much friction at the front end of me trying to talk to somebody that I gave up. And they allowed me a whole 15 minutes of a conversation with them. well, that's not long enough to. That's not. They're not taking my inquiry seriously. Not for what could be a $5,000 account each month, or probably not as much as that. But you're getting my drift. Is that they put so much sort of automation and so on that actually created a lot of friction in the joining experience. So how easy is it to do business with you? And how can you deliver the desired outcome in the shortest possible time? Because time's very short these days. People are just not willing to wait. So for example, I'd spoken to another US accountant, delighted with them. So I binned this other accountant that had been didn't even bother. I stopped halfway through the onboarding on the inquiry process because it made it so sticky, difficult to do. And then a tricky one. Not every business can do that, but what can you guarantee to the customer? So as an agency, we say we'll stop if it's not working, and review it with you. Whereas a lot of agencies will just keep taking your money. I was talking to a client the other day, and they've got like a service where they provide support, and there's people who are paying $500 a month and not using that support. Well, we would be having a phone call at that point, even though it's detrimental to us, to say, you're not using the service. How can we help you? Yeah, it's what can you guarantee to the customer? And then create a name. So ours is the fractional CMO 90-day accelerator program. It's more that name's geared to the US, which is where we're pushing quite hard at the moment. But think of something so that people can easily remember it. It's different. It stands out. And then write down your value proposition. Again, this is all based on Strategizer's value proposition canvas. And then develop a 30-second elevator pitch. In one of the workshops, we ran a thing on the story brand by Donald Miller, and he very much takes you through the process of creating a killer story so that you can then put together, as he calls it, a one-liner, but basically a 30-second elevator pitch. So you can immediately get over your value in that short space of time, especially very important when you're networking and so on. The brand story then helps you build your websites, landing pages, and brochures. So back to identifying the right marketing funnel. So what first point is, what warm audience do you have? What warm prospects do you have? And can you talk to them on a regular basis? What can you do to reach out to strangers? Well, basically, if you're in business to business, that's either LinkedIn or buying a cold email database. Although, as I was trying to buy a database for somebody the other day, it's actually I couldn't do it. The only way to do it would be through LinkedIn marketing. So LinkedIn is very powerful, works still very well. I'm having some great conversations with people on there. So you do need to be systematic about it. Again, we can help you with that. Content, absolutely really important. You've got to work out how much you can create on a regular basis, and then do it. It is becoming harder. It's becoming more sophisticated. If you look at LinkedIn feeds these days, people are putting quite a lot of effort into that process. Again, with Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, but that's again where a partner like ourselves, is essential sometimes for businesses. Key thing is, what budget do you have for the advertising? Number of inquiries directly relates to how much budget you put into it, although you can spend too much. So it's always worth looking at the stats, looking at the data. And then what foundations do you have to build on those activities? So what's going to happen next? So one of the other things we find when working with customers is that nobody owns the process. If nobody owns the process or doesn't really bother, or so junior in the process, like you've hired an apprentice to the marketing, that's fine to do the day-to-day work and maybe do the content creation, all that sort of stuff. But they're not experienced enough to give direction. So somebody has to be, and there needs to be reporting in place. So there's a thing called RACI, where you've got the person who's delivering it, who's going to be accountable for those results, and how's that going to be communicated to the founders and business owners. Obviously, we've got the board and C-suite here, but for slightly larger businesses. But essentially, the C-suite board is your founder, business owner, etc. And you say, well, we've nobody to do it. Well, if you don't do the marketing, unless you're in a very, you've been established a long time and you've got a very good network, a good black book of people who you can regularly talk to, then this is the kind of thing you do need to put in place, and especially if you want to grow. It's very difficult to grow a business through word of mouth marketing, other than doing lots and lots and lots of networking and really pushing yourself out there. And that does work. I know a company, I've got a friend who runs it, and that's all he's done. It's just be out there or everywhere. He's ubiquitous almost, and he's benefited through that. But that's basically having a full-time person putting them out there, and not all products or services lend themselves to that either. So initial campaign, start with one campaign. So you list in the priority order and select the first campaign to work on. So it could be just setting up a MailChimp and putting all your emails into all your customer data into that, and all your prospect data into that, and writing an email. That could be your first campaign. It could be creating what's called a landing page, a page specifically for an AdWord campaign, which is the fastest way to drive traffic. Before you do start anything, and this is the ideal now, not everybody does this, but it's to write a keyword plan. We obviously use tools to do that. If you watch the course on the hub called How to Get to the Top of Google, that will tell you how to use the Neil Patel's package, which is free. I'm not going into details here because it is on the online course on the hub, which is free to use, and it goes into a lot more detail. But you do need a keyword plan. What hashtags are you going to use? So if you're using social, the hashtags, but you need to know what words people use to get to your site. And this is where Google Search Console, if you've done the exercise with the Google Search Console, you'll have that answer. You'll know what are your key products. And then if you use Neil Patel's tool, SEO tool, then he will tell you what going to your competitor websites. It's also important when you're doing email marketing, what are you going to say? What words are you going to use that will get your people's attention? So initial website actions. Well, if you're going to use pay-per-click or email campaigns, you might want to do a landing page. Just do not spend time and money driving them to your homepage, unless your homepage is specifically designed as a landing page, which has a very clear structure as to building there. You'll have heard of AIDA, attracts attention, develop their interest, develop their desire, and then strong calls to action. That process still works. We used to use it in MailShop a long time ago. The better process is actually with the story brand from Donald Miller. And again, that's on one of the one of the recorded workshops. Think about the customer journey. How easy is it for them to get to the information they need? Look at the homepage. So we took on a website on a fairly budget basis. So we made a few tweaks to the website just to try and improve the look and feel without actually doing a reskin job. Because people say, oh, you need a new website. No, stop, please stop. Your website is probably okay. It just needs improving. Better to often sometimes, as long as the website's not too old and very hard to work on. These days, modern tools means that actually it's easy just to make a few adjustments to get where you need to be. If you want your website to be found, then you're going to have to write some cornerstone articles. But again, if you've done your keyword analysis and you understand what your customer proposition is, you pump all that into ChatGPT and it will write the articles for you. I showed you at SEMrush, there are cheaper tools, but fix the errors that are on that site. And then we came across quite a big e-commerce site, and there's a thing called the sitemap, which tells Google where everything is in your website. And they hadn't submitted it to Google Search Console. Big mistake. Google didn't know it was there. So as soon as I stuck that in, it started, Google went, oh, what's all this? And started crawling it. And of course, their results went up. So there actually can be quite some quick wins. Social media, review, make sure you're on brand, make sure everything's on brand, right, same colors, right logo size, right look and feel, the right pictures, etc. And when we start a project, we try and get quite a bit of stuff together in order to, so that when we start the campaign, the things will flow through it. Warm audience. So we put together a couple of, so in what we do is put together some email templates, we segment the system, and then we create a warm onboarding email, how to use the products and services, a recipe ideas email, so that to give people ideas about, refer a friend code if that's applicable. We've then got the newsletter email, and if we can, if there's a way of free trialing whatever you do, and it's not always possible, but it could be if you're selling wine or things like that, nice discount code, 10% off or whatever. I buy protein powder from Bulk Powders, and I'm always looking out for their coupons. And I needed some shirts and stuff for a holiday, and again looking around for, but I already knew the brand, so it was Charles Twight shirts. It's the cow came through, went, yeah, great, went online and bought the stuff. So for e-commerce sites, you can't beat discount codes to get people coming back. Cold audience needs to be really thought about carefully. It does work. It's hard work, and quite, oops, although it does that. And you drive it to something like an e-magnet, an event, video with value. The idea is you've got to capture their email address again. You think, wow, why would I sort of capture their email? I've already got their email. Well, what we do is we use Brevo, which is, we've got about 30,000 fairly cold emails, although they are warming up because we've emailed them a few times. And then when you come onto this, you are signed into our active campaign. So then we can send you an email, a newsletter, etc., etc. And you wanting to capture those warm prospective emails, find out who they are, so you can then segment them, maybe even do a bit of research depending on the value of and whether their businesses, the consumers. There's no point, obviously, but it's about having that warm list, moving them from a cold list to a warm list. LinkedIn, we've been doing this for years. It's a great way to get to know people, great way to build up an email database of people that you're talking to, and for a lot of businesses, we've worked with one company for quite a few years now on the LinkedIn marketing, and you regularly get inquiries in through that mechanism. And of course, we're building up a nice big database of people that he can talk to on a regular basis. So what is he tracking? Because we talked about habits, we talked about measuring things. So these are the things that we believe at the moment are the things to track on a weekly or monthly basis. What's the sales revenue for the period? How many conversions you've had from inquiries to sales, or from visitors to sales, depending if you're an e-commerce site. What was the conversion path? How did they go from being a prospect to a customer? You can, on Google Analytics 4, you can look at the behavior patterns, and you can see where people are going through the site. And with more unfortunately more technical stuff, you can also track where they're sourced from. Although Google will give you quite a lot of stuff out of the box. How many new emails have you added to your database, new customer emails, or warm prospective emails? How many downloads have happened for your lead magnet, and what was your total website traffic? And then this is the habit stuff, because you've got to look at what are the new habits you're going to put in place. What was the biggest win of the week? What do you think could have done better? Because it's always, you're always thinking about, right, these 1%. I've worked with 600 businesses over the last 20 plus years. And it's always been about not the big thing, because those never happen. It's all about what 1% improvements have you got, and 1% improvements over a period of time adds up to a lot. What the challenges did you face this week, and what are your goals next week? What are you going to do next period, next? We use job lists and Monday.com, etc., to keep track of what we're doing. What are you doing to keep help? And then at the bottom of our track, it says, how can we help? So how can you get more from your effort? So we talked about taking maybe a cold list, emailing it, sending it out to get a download to an event like this or whatever. You get that email that goes into a warm list database, and then you can send out a series of offers, maybe, or a series of information, add them to your newsletter. You might use a Google AdWords campaign, which takes them to the landing page, which takes them to the email, which takes them to a chain of emails. You might use you can use a thing called pixels, which then quite often you go to a website and lo and behold it appears in Facebook. So and it's business and business to consumer. It doesn't matter. Facebook is becoming more sort of used for the same. So one of the things that we always talk about competition, but if you're into books, there's a book called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, and it's really sort of says you're in it for the long haul. You're in it so it's not about competition. You can have worthy rivals, but it's about what can you do that's sustainable. It's not about short campaigns. It's about what can you put in place? What new habits are you going to put in place? Be clear on the metrics. Work in small increments. Because I read somewhere that business owners, founders, etc., can only spend about 20% of their time actually working on their business. So when you are working in your business, make damn sure that it's stuff that's going to make a difference and that will create you extra time. We do have the habit tracker for the continuous improvement, but you can use a spreadsheet. It's or something like that. So follow the steps. So the action is review the current situation, reimagine what can change. Because don't forget, Einstein said if you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, that's insanity. So what is it you can do that's going to change the way you're doing? What new habits can you put in place? Do you need to pivot the business? Do you need to change something? Because if you keep doing it, it's not going to work. And then think about a 90-day accelerator. So you've got that focus. And after 90 days, it should run into sustainable marketing. And then if you drop us a mail, we'll send you the link to the habit tracker. But most of all, set up your analytics and reporting so that at least you can see what's working and what's not. Okay, we've come to 12 o'clock. Was hoping for a bit more, create a bit more time. But are there nobody, I'm not aware of, William mentioned that he's working in a wholesaling business and recently created some leads by going to a national wine event. There's interesting conferences and things like that for specific markets do work, I think. And that's why the in-person does still is still worth considering. So yeah, one of the questions he asked is, what are the steps between creating a warm lead and getting an order? Well, this is all about your conversion process. So I think in relation to this, William, you're probably talking about your selling to restaurants and things like that. Well, it's a question of just using a CRM system. You know, bigger companies will have lots of these warm leads, and they'll be talking to them. Make sure that you've got your email database set up. So as soon as you get a warm lead, put it in there, and maybe even have a series of automated emails that go out once a week, maybe with a different offer or different, you know, just to see what they're interested in. And then you can track their opens, etc. So that's something that you could do that would automate that process. How do you use LinkedIn marketing? Excellent question, Pearly. You can go to the hub.vision2success.co, and you can do the free how to get LinkedIn marketing course. We actually spent quite a lot of money developing that, but we decided it'd be easier to it would really helpful to people if they could just do it. And it's the same process that's in the course that we follow, so we know it works. We've been doing it for years now, and thankfully, when Microsoft took over LinkedIn or bought LinkedIn, they didn't make too many radical changes, which on one hand is a good thing, on the other hand maybe not. But in terms of LinkedIn lead generation, LinkedIn marketing works very well. So that was so just pop onto that course. It takes about 3/4 an hour, I think, and you'll have all the tools you need to generate leads using LinkedIn. Okay, can't see any more. TikTok, Rachel's popped in the link to it for TikTok. We're going to brand next week. Can't do it this week, but next week will be all the new micro courses that we've developed. And I'll be loading up about can't decide yet, 2 or 3 a week, but it'll be something like that and they're all short snippet stuff, really short snippet stuff, probably 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes each, and they will give you a tool each time that we use that is used for doing strategy. And it's just to help you. It's a bit about working on your business. These are all the tools you need to work on your business. Things like the value proposition we talked about here, the brand story, etc. Okay, what else have we got? William, I don't quite understand that question. Oh, I see. When you send somebody a pro forma, how soon do you follow up? I would say the following day, and then sort of maybe and then get permission if you can. Say, hey, send you the pro forma invoice. See, it's not arrived yet. See, the payment's not arrived yet. When would be a good time to follow it up? And it's an old-fashioned thing, but it's called permission-based marketing. And sometimes they'll tell you, but then you follow up maybe after 3 or 4 days. So 1 day, 3 or 4 days, and then slowly getting longer. But if you put those into a CRM system and also stick them in your automated marketing system, so they're getting nice little reminders and things, it costs nothing. Once it's set up, it costs nothing to do. Okay. Any more questions? No? Okay. Well, just coming now to the end now. We're not running anything in December because it's silly season and everybody's got trying to get things done before the holidays start. We'll be hopefully launching the app soon in Q1. We've got some really exciting stuff in it now, and we'll be gearing the workshops up over Christmas, working out what workshops will be running in the new year. But they'll be at the same time, same slot, 11 till 12 on a Wednesday, run monthly. And we'll be letting everybody know in the new year, because we're redesigning the events page on the Vision2Success site over the holidays. So wishing you all happy holidays when they come, because they're not far off. You haven't bought your Christmas presents. And I'll see you in the new year. Thanks very much.